What a hectic week. What a hectic month. It's been ridiculous amount of stuff happening over the last few days. So much to talk about, Malad. Let's just get right into it. Hey guys, welcome back to episode number 2 of Ya Football's World Cup podcast. I think there's so much to talk about. I think we were going to do more specifically through the group stage, but since we decided to already let the tournament play itself out, we've come back now and try to analyze what's been going on. We just got finished with the quarterfinals. So there has been so many games, so many ups and downs, so many controversies. We're going to try to get most of it done. I'm not going to talk about every single piece that we can. There possibly is, because there's so much going on in this World Cup Qatar. So I feel like it's just best to talk about whatever we have in mind. We literally just decided to record literally right after France beat England. So that's it. It's already so much to take in with everything that's been happening over the last few days. How are you feeling, Malada, about everything that's been happening and now leading up to the semifinals in the next 2 days?
Oh, this is one of the best World Cups I've ever seen. I mean, I haven't seen a lot. I've seen, as a football fan, like really knowing things.
Yeah.
2018 and 2022 and a little bit of 2014, but not much. This has been insane. I mean, Morocco's in the semis, which is insane in itself. I don't think we can undermine that. Just how crazy it is that Morocco is in the semifinals and has not conceded a single goal. The only goal that was scored against them was an own goal. Like, they haven't actually conceded a goal, which is just, and they're going up against the World Cup defending champs. So that's going to be great. The games yesterday were just, I mean, the intensity is amazing. I think credit to the fans that have traveled. Like, for example, England versus France Day was intense on the pitch, but I don't think it was as intense in the stands with the atmosphere.
I definitely have to agree.
But I mean, Argentina versus Netherlands, the amount of Argentinians that are in that stadium and the amount of even Brazilians that have traveled as well, they really make those games very special. And I mean, I'm having a great time. Like, I mean, Arsenal could stay away, Premier League, all that, they could stay away for a little bit. I'm having a fantastic time right now with the World Cup. It sucks that there's only basically 4 games left. And no one really cares about the third place game, but just the storylines are all over the place. Yeah. Incredible games, incredible football, and just controversy, refereeing decisions, Messi being angry. I mean, we don't usually see that, but that's going on. Subplots within games. I mean, but the big boys basically going out. In the end, I would say you have 2 underdogs in the semis, and you have 2 favorites. And so it's not like 4 favorites in the semis, or, it all went to plan. It didn't do that. I'm just having a fantastic. This is an incredible World Cup, regardless of all the other issues around it. But the actual football has been absolutely amazing.
Yeah, so let's talk about it a little bit, because, since last time we discussed on the podcast, obviously you and I have been talking on private and a lot of stuff. It's been a lot of change since the group stage. Basically, we started on week 1, and now it's basically up to the quarterfinals. A lot happened in the groups. It was probably the most interesting groups overall that I've ever witnessed in terms of how long they played out. Usually group stages, there will be teams that win by 9 points. There will be teams that absolutely dominate in their groups in general, or it almost seems like the same nations pass through. In this case, I feel like it was almost down to the wire for most teams. There was only a few that you can count where it's already settled in, like, for instance, France in this case as well. So it's crazy to see, and Brazil as well, but it's crazy to see how things have evolved from different players, where it's moving around from the world's becoming more diverse in where they're playing. So look at the Moroccan team. Most of them are European born, and yet they represent their blood country, how their families and stuff come from, and they come in and they do a lot of work. I mean, we've obviously seen it. So I think we should just start discussing from what happened post group. A lot of battle through the groups, and now we went into the round of 16s, where Netherlands played the U.S. and Argentina played Australia. Big games that Japan was playing Croatia, Brazil was playing Korea, uh, Portugal was playing Switzerland, Morocco was playing Spain, France, Poland, England, Senegal. Which group would you say was your favorite in the round of 16? You can name two if you want, if you can't put it down to a single one. But out of those games, which one was like the one that this was like all time group round of 16 for this 2022?
I think right now, like I think the story of this World Cup, maybe when it's over, we'll look at it differently. But the story of this World Cup, as it's been going through, has been the South American, the two juggernauts of South America. Obviously with Messi's last World Cup, obviously with the favorites of Brazil. Brazil absolutely thrashed
Korea.
South Korea. Yeah, so that wasn't like a memorable game, but I think the Argentina, of course, was very very memorable. Because you see Messi score his first knockout goal, which is still crazy to think about, and I think the Japan game as well was very very interesting to see how that went. Was it Japan versus Croatia? That was it. Yeah, Japan versus Croatia. I know not the most entertaining game to watch, but just watching the Japanese throughout the tournament was a lot of fun. It sucks they went home via penalties and not actually were really beaten. But I love the way they played. They didn't sit back like at all. They did not low block teams to death. Like they just played football.
Yeah.
And I wish, Morocco's currently that heartfelt romantic underdog story, but I was hoping Japan could push through, and that, I mean, we know Croatia advanced, but Japan versus Brazil would have been a very very interesting game if that did happen. I know it didn't, but it is what it is. So those would be my two games. It would be Japan versus Croatia, Argentina versus Australia, and I think the round of 8 was just amazing. That's the best round of 8 I've ever seen.
Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, for me it has to be Morocco, Spain, and Portugal, Switzerland. And I'll tell you why. I think the Moroccan story of how defensively put they were in against such a high ball possession opposition that just constantly tried to out dominate them, and they couldn't find a chance. It was ridiculous, and to win in such a way where it goes all the way to extra time, pass into the penalties, and to absolutely outclass them there. That's just the part where they see, sometimes football mixes with a lot with like what's happening in the world. So it takes a little bit of things that happen around where Morocco and Spain are very close to each other. They have a lot of tension sometimes, and for someone who feels Moroccan, African, Arabic, this is a lot to take in. It was great to already pass Spain. Obviously now we know they played Portugal this morning and they won that game, but I feel like the Spain one was the most memorable one in terms of how the intensity, how long it played. In terms of Portugal, Switzerland, the reason why I picked that is not because really the score line. It was more of the everything leading up to it. Now, obviously you and I know that the whole idea was that Cristiano was finally getting benched after not playing so well in the group stages, and while he was trying to put his effort, it's just not enough for like the team to actually do it. So in the last 30 minutes to 40 minutes before kickoff, the lineup was already announced that he would not be playing, and I feel like instead of just tactically, it felt like psychologically it messed up Switzerland's ideas on what they want to do. Probably they decided to still stick with the same plan they probably organized all week, but regardless of that, it already affects you psychologically as a player that one of the best strikers isn't playing, and that can already mess things up. And I think they were pretty aggressive in the first 10 minutes, but then after that, when they conceded, it all looked like they weren't the same aggressive as the times in the group stages. So I thought this game would be a lot closer, and it turned into an absolute rant, which was unfortunate for Switzerland, but it showed that Portugal had the desire to keep pushing through and finding new ways to play without Cristiano. But unfortunately,
I like how you picked those two games because those two games were the day I had jury duty. So I only saw the penalty shootout of Morocco versus Spain. And I missed the entire Switzerland versus Portugal game because of jury duty. So
we got to talk about both two sides, in brackets. You know what I mean? Like we got to decide two sides of the brackets. You got to pick the other side. I got to pick this side.
Literally wasn't able to watch that side.
I hate
jury duty.
I think the fact of how like it affected psychologically Switzerland, if you obviously I'm telling from my perspective since you didn't get a chance, it really affected them from the beginning. It was so it almost for a second, right? It made me think, wow, Fernando Santos is actually a genius, an absolute tactician of like not just affecting the players mentally, like in tactically, but also psychologically. That the like one of the best players. It could be Neymar, Mbappe, Ronaldo, Messi. These are all fantastic players. Obviously, two are out of this world and one is absolutely enormous. But the idea is that these players, when they don't play, obviously you get a bit more confidence boost instantly. Whether you like it or not, it happens to you mentally. You think you have more of a chance now because you have to mark him less, and that's essentially what happened. It was confusing. But Morocco, on the other hand, when we get there. We'll talk about it now. Let's talk about the quarterfinals.
One thing, do you notice that every team that had a big victory ended up basically struggling the next game? I think complacency definitely set in with a lot of those teams. It happened to Spain, it happened to Portugal, it happened to Brazil. When you get those big victories, sometimes you forget it's the World Cup, and that boost, like in the World Cup, there is never a tournament or a competition or a game that you play as a footballer that is more intense than a World Cup game. So even when you win 5-0, 4-1, 6-1, 7, whatever, the next game, because you just did that and you had fun and all that, even though you have to get up for the world, it's subconsciously, there's just a little bit of a percentage where you relax a little bit. And there was no surprise to me whatsoever that after each one of those results, the next game they struggle because the intensity will never be higher in any competition other than this one. So that was just something I noticed that was very interesting.
I think that is you made me think right now of a factor like, for instance, semifinals 2014 when Germany played Brazil and they absolutely got battered, right? And then Germany went through comfortably. But then in the next game, it was a struggle till like the late minutes of extra time for a 1-0 victory against Argentina.
That's just a little bit different because it's a World Cup final.
What I'm saying is,
I think you get up for a World Cup final.
The idea, what I'm saying is like the next game is always a different game, not really the because obviously it's a final. But what I mean is like each time you pass, the intensity of the game can change, or you can get outclassed or whatever. Which is what happened to Brazil. So since we're already in quarters and semis already decided, let's just talk about most of the time on the quarterfinals because I think that's the point of talk right now. And first, I wanted to declare that I feel disgusted a little bit by FIFA's making the referees the protagonists of the quarterfinals, really, more than anything. Like, if you had a man of the match, unfortunately, it was the ref rather than not just the ref, but the refs throughout various of the quarterfinal games as the main protagonist, rather than most of these countries and their ideas, because it just became more and more and more wild as it already looked like a power struggle versus Netherlands versus Argentina. It was worse today. Like, by far, probably the worst type of refereeing you want to see, where it's undecisive, unclear, and sometimes can feel biased towards one country and not the other, unsure on decisions. the outruling. For instance, the second penalty today for Kane. How come the ref didn't see that, but the VAR didn't see it, even though we saw it? It was clear. What's going on? Where's the ref looking for these type of things?
I do want to say for the first quarterfinal game of Brazil versus Croatia, I think Michael Oliver did a fantastic job. But that was the only refereeing game or referee in the quarterfinals I think did a really good job.
Interesting. It's a Premier League ref, and then when he goes to Premier League, we clown him.
Yeah, when he goes to Premier League, it's completely different. Like he gets told to do different things. But Michael Oliver there's a reason why he's the best ref in the Prem. But the Prem is just like the refereeing association there is just terrible. But
I agree.
What's the name of the MLS ref?
The one that was playing today, or
no, the one that sent off the Senegal player but gave him a handshake. He's mainly England versus in the MLS. He's terrific. I was hoping I'd see him in the quarters, but I didn't see him.
Are you talking about where England played Senegal and it was like a 3-0? And
no, Senegal.
Are you talking about Cameroon?
Was it Senegal? No, Cameroon. Yes, Cameroon versus Brazil. Sorry, Cameroon versus Brazil.
Cameroon versus Brazil.
Final group stage game.
We could probably look it up.
I don't remember his name, but I was hoping I'd see him, and I didn't.
Ismail Aleph, I think that's what.
I've heard he's primarily in the MLS. I really liked his performance, but I mean, what happened during the Netherlands versus Argentina game, that just never surprised me. Every single time I have watched Antonio Mateo, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Mateo.
Every single time I've watched him referee a game, I get sick of him. He really is. He really does make Mike Dean look like an angel.
He's the definition of atrocity.
It's just ridiculous. He's a ref that doesn't like to talk to anyone. He's a ref that wants to be the center of attention, wants to feel the power and the control. Yes. And maybe it's our fault, maybe it's the player's fault, because you know what you're getting from that referee. Like, this is how it's going to be, but even when it happens, it's still just ridiculous to watch. And I don't like referees like that.
You know what's interesting?
The game itself was fantastic, but I mean, him was just awful.
I was gonna say to you that you know how many times Messi has probably yelled at him throughout his La Liga experience, his Champions League experience, his World Cup experience.
The only referee I've seen really get Messi mad. He's the only one.
It happens every time. It's crazy how this guy does so many. This is the definition of like you're saying, a referee that wants to be the center of attention. Even if he says he doesn't, it's an absolute lie. It's an absolute lie, because there's so many times, for instance, whether decisions are being made, there's also decisions like sometimes the favor would go towards Argentina, whether they believe it or not. Obviously the Argentines were pretty upset that what was going on to them, but regardless, it was mostly on favor of them. But even when it was it shouldn't have been. For instance, Paredes kicking a ball towards the bench after the first foul and then kicking the ball, that's a red card normally. But because the intensity of the game is he doesn't decide to do this type of thing.
You could tell he didn't want to send anyone off.
I agree.
He just wanted to keep giving yellows all the time. But he was very adamant not to send anyone off. So that's why it was such a confusing performance, because you can't if you guys hear my dog, sorry. But if you want to show power and show control and give lazy yellow cards, then under your own guidance and your own rules, then that second one's a second yellow. But the way he refs out of context. I want to show my power, I want to be the center of attention, but I don't want to send anyone off. And that's okay, you know what? It's just confusing at that point, because then what happens, especially when you have two teams that were jawing as much as they did between Netherlands and Argentina. They're just gonna they noticed that probably throughout the game that Mateo wasn't gonna send anyone off, and that's why those kind of things happen. Even Paredes knew he should have gotten sent off. Do you see how happy he was when he got the yellow card? He was like, thank you. So he knew. So but obviously we don't want to see anyone get sent off for those kind of actions in the World Cup. But under the law and under his style of refereeing, it probably should have been a red.
Yeah, definitely.
I just wish the referee had more control of the game. That it's not, for me, it's not about especially in the World Cup, it's not about yellows and reds and was this tackle a red card, all this stuff.
It's about keeping
I want the game to be under control.
Yeah,
that's the main thing. Sky, be quiet.
Okay, so what you think about the overall game? I think Argentina, they were leading, obviously. They fell off their lead. They had to push back. They went into penalties. They won over penalties over the Netherlands again. What thoughts overall?
I mean, who? Well, if Argentina go up 2-0 in the semis, just don't get comfortable. Uh, uh, Argentina have been a very weird team to watch. They are not, honestly, they're not that great, but they have this odd way of controlling a game.
Mm-hmm.
Very slow tempo, but you also have Messi walking around, sitting in the pocket, able to. And he for his age at the moment, he's playing just unbelievably. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's how they're winning these games. Everyone else is just running their hearts into the ground. And if Argentina want to win a World Cup, they're going to have to do it this way. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be not pretty, but this
Yeah.
is how they're going to have to do it. I mean, if anyone wants to bet, place your bet on Croatia versus Argentina going to extra time at the very least. It's most likely going to happen. And we'll see what they do. I have a deep down feeling that if they get to France in the World Cup final, I don't see how they can defend a team like that. The teams they have played so far have not really had lethal attacks. And even when they go up against Croatia, they will not have a lethal attack. And Mbappe is just a completely different monster, and so is Giroud, and so is Dembele, and everyone there. So I think so many people in the world want to see Argentina do well. It's gonna take like a fairy tale story for them to actually do it, because I think that the team does have weaknesses. They're still relying on Otamendi at the back. Martinez is not the best goalkeeper. Like he's good at penalty shootouts, but there are times where he has made mistakes.
Yeah.
And right now Di Maria is not playing because they're kind of doing this 5-3-2 formation. DePaul gives the ball away all the time, but he runs as hard into the ground, so he makes up for it.
Yeah, gives it back, but gets it back.
He just as long as he runs and gets it back, that's fine. I absolutely love Julian Alvarez. I think he's been a revelation for that team. So I want to see that team do well. For the Netherlands, I think it was expected they probably went out. The Netherlands were just missing something this entire tournament. Yes, they were, winning games going through, but Van Gaal was playing his style of international play, kind of not trying to play the pretty way, just trying to win, and he almost did it. And so I'm not surprised they went out. I just think they were lacking a little bit of form in their top players. I think Gakpo is still very young. He doesn't have enough experience at this level to carry them like that.
Better mix.
I think Van Dijk was just a step off as well. So especially for like the Messi the Messi assist goal to what's his name? Is it Moreno? What's his name?
For Molina?
Right back.
Molina,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think Van Dijk 2 years ago would have easily snuffed that out and had the pace and everything to get that, but I just think Van Dijk is just a little bit off of it at the current moment. So that didn't really surprise me. Overall, I thought it was an absolutely stellar game. One I'm always going to look back on and remember and enjoy and want to watch again.
Set piece, incredible.
Yeah. The set piece was
the pass, assist from Leo. Yeah, all of it.
Just balls, absolute balls.
Like a World Cup game. Yeah, it's such a that's
their final chance. They know that's their final chance. 100th minute, 10 minutes of added time. That's your final chance. And they really had the composure. And
that's what England should have done today. I'm gonna now. Okay, sorry.
No. If you saw, France was defending it.
I saw, but I look. I would have ran a different line, but it's fine. Never mind. I don't want to get into it right now.
No, it was a terrific game. It goes down to penalties, and let's face it, Lautaro Martinez has been struggling for a lot of this World Cup, but absolutely amazing penalty to put it in the top left corner to get them to advance. And so we'll see what they do. But I thought it was the best game of the tournament in terms of just intensity and everything else.
It could,
a play, maybe not, but intensity, absolutely best of the tournament.
From that side of the bracket, I think yesterday, what was yesterday? Croatia, Brazil, Netherlands, Argentina. Probably the best quarterfinals that I've seen in this tournament. Like both games intended. I forgot a little bit about Croatia, Brazil, and I want to go back to because it was the early game. I think the idea that Brazil had was whack, but I think the brilliance, like that, the small spark that Neymar puts into the play to like build up for his goal was almost, you know what I mean? It was like what the country needed the most. But then at the same time, they took it into extra time. And when you take Croatia into extra time, I don't know who else I'd bet in. I mean, at this point, it's like how many times? You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. They changed players. But you still have the same core, right? So if you always have Luka, it's almost impossible to lose in extra time. If they do win this tournament, I jinxed it. It's me. It was me for me saying it on this podcast. But other than that, it's ridiculous. If you take them into extra time, I have no idea. Once Croatia took Japan into extra time, I told everyone else, you're not winning. It's 100%. You're not winning. You're not winning. It's not happening.
They now have that aura. It will probably
Yeah.
affect other teams now once you come up against Croatia if it does go to that. I know this is in hindsight. I didn't say it, but I was thinking it about the Brazil team. They were favorites, we know that. When I looked at the squad, I wasn't convinced. I just wasn't. I saw weaknesses in certain areas. I saw strengths in other areas.
Mm-hmm.
I wondered if Richarlison could keep up his scoring form because I don't fully believe in him as the Brazilian striker, but he was scoring.
Right.
And he scored the goal of the tournament, arguably. So, but as it went on, I had my doubts, and the doubts showed up in that game in extra time with 3 minutes left when they gave up that goal, because that was what Brazil was missing. Yes, they have Thiago Silva, they have Marquinhos, and they have those so-called leaders, but I've seen Marquinhos collapse. I've seen Thiago Silva collapse in certain situations at club football play. Silva's also 37 years old, so I don't want to be too harsh on him, but the rest of them, Vinicius is still very young, doesn't track back, and I don't think he had a very good World Cup. Again, Richarlison is not the superstar level player that I would want Brazil to have. Neymar is Neymar. He's terrific. And to be fair, I think he did everything he was supposed to do in that match. I thought he was, sitting in that number 8 pocket and doing his role and playing really well. He got the goal. I think Tite made a few mistakes. I also think the players made a few mistakes. With 3 minutes to go, how Casemiro gets caught behind, how you only have 3 defenders in a transition opportunity, how Fred, who was subbed on to help defend. First of all, why Fred is even playing, because Fred, I don't rate him at all, but why he's playing, okay, I think that's a mistake by Tite. But then it's Fred's mistake as to why are you ahead of the ball? I can understand Neymar being ahead. I can understand Pedro being ahead and those guys. Why are you ahead of the ball? And so I blame those players there for that collapse. And once that goal went in, I did worry about them in the penalty shootouts. I don't blame Rodrigo or for the penalty misses and Marquinhos hitting the post. It happens. I'm not gonna penalties are penalties. Crazy stuff happens. But to allow that goal to happen with 3 minutes left in extra time when you have a 1-0 lead, to get yourself caught in a transition attack, the only way Croatia would have scored is catching them like that, and you let it happen, is inexcusable. And it showed me that my deep down feelings about that Brazil team was right. They didn't have that extra maturity and that extra leadership to get them through in a tournament where you desperately need it. You can't just play off the cuff, beautiful football all the time and think you can do it. And I think just a few decisions by the players and the manager led them there. You had Fabinho on the bench. You could have put him in, sat him alongside Casemiro, and told him to sit in front of the back four, and they didn't do that. And because in Brazil's DNA, you have to play football, even if you are 1-0 up with 3 minutes left in extra time, still got to go try and play. And that was their downfall. So 20 years now without a World Cup victory, 20 years without even a finals appearance, and Croatia's 1 game away from their second finals appearance in 4 years. So
I think also
not very good for them.
A key point for Brazil is that I don't know if this is I can't really say this for everything, but in a Brazil stance, when they go into extra time, they seem to struggle in stamina compared to Croatia. You know what I mean? Not just in stamina and hauling for balls, but I was saying in stamina, concentration, uh, awareness, and and quick on your feet. It was all not clicking together for the last after scoring is what I mean, because it almost settled in with the score line and to keep going for a second goal instead of holding out for the last how you're saying like the last 5 minutes for settling for the 1-0. And I think it's almost like why not just park the bus? Maybe it's in your DNA that you have to go down with the way that you play, which is respectable as well. You know what I mean? At its own core, you could even see Neymar in the last 15 when the second time of extra time occurred. He was even struggling to track back himself because normally these players don't really haul back to defend, and we've talked about it countless of times with Leo, Mbappe, Neymar, even Krish. They're not going to track back to defend. And especially when he's played almost 2 hours of football.
That's where you need to have everyone else do it.
Exactly,
That's where I
that's
think
the struggle,
they struggled.
right? Yeah.
Like
So
we see, Argentina in 2018 didn't do that for Leo.
yeah,
Argentina in 2022, they have workhorses. Even the striker is a workhorse. Like they have workhorses everywhere.
yeah. Julian will 100% run it.
Oh, Julian will run himself into. He'll dig himself 6 feet deep to run himself into the ground for Leo. And for Brazil, it's just a little bit different. I give credit to Richarlison. He does try to press and run around to let Neymar get that rest a little bit. But you're playing Vinicius and Neymar, and Vinicius just has it in his mindset. He doesn't have to track back.
It's the same with Rafinha and Anthony. Sometimes it's
Rafinha. I think did a lot of work. Anthony. I don't want to get Arsenal biased. I don't want to get Arsenal biased because Martinelli plays on the left. But Martinelli is one of the best tracking back wingers work rate in the world. But the problem is he plays on the left. So that's why they put on Anthony, because the only option to replace Rafinha is Anthony if you want that left-footed, right-sided player.
Mm-hmm.
But Anthony is just... Listen, Ajax pulled off a coup for 100 million. He's a good player. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to him. But... you can't just look at the ball and dribble, and think that's actually doing something, and then losing the ball, I mean, Perisic was just toying with him at the end. It was just ridiculous. And so, I would have loved to seen Martinelli on, because I do believe Martinelli would have done that tracking back work that I think a lot of those attackers weren't doing. And, I think there's just deeper down issues in Brazil, more with the mentality that they need to adapt in order to win a World Cup. I think they had the talent. I don't think it was the most talented team. I think the team was a little bit overrated, but I do think they had enough talent, especially to at least get to the semis. And I think that just showed that, Croatia's mentality was just that good. There's a reason that they made the finals 4 years ago. There's a reason they've won 4 straight games in extra time and penalties. They have that mentality, and Brazil didn't, and sometimes that's what it comes down to, especially in a tournament like this. I think that the federation, the country, that they don't really know who the next manager is going to be, because there isn't really anyone in line at the moment after Tite. But I think they really need to think a little bit more about how they want to construct a Brazilian team in order to win the World Cup. And you're not going to be able to rely on Neymar. Neymar at 34 is probably going to be similar to what Messi is at 35. Like you can still probably use him, but he's not going to be able to dribble past people like he did. And he still can do right now, but he's not going to be able to do that at 34, just like how Leo can't do it now. And so you're going to have to find a different way to play. And I think, there are some young players in that squad that you can build around. I hope Vinicius builds a little bit more of a work rate. I think he could be one of the best wingers in the world if he does do that. And so you have something there. You have a lot of young talent in Brazil. There will always be talent coming up. So Sky, be quiet. So it's not the end of the world. To win a World Cup, they need to be a little bit stronger in the mind. And I think that's the only thing with Brazil. They have the talent, they have the goal scoring. Just be stronger in the mind, have better game management, better understanding of certain situations, and see where that can take you.
So we move to the other side of the bracket. Morocco, Portugal.
I
I
don't.
don't.
I don't.
It's tough.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
even know what to say.
Yeah,
You
I
know
don't
what I
know.
mean?
I don't know what to say. It's just this Moroccan team is they play really nice. Like I don't know what to say. Like Ziyech is reborn and Boufal is playing insane, and I don't know what to
I think
say.
they play
It's a
so
Cinderella story.
constructive
They're
that
just riding the wave.
yeah, that they just it's just untold to be. I like how things could play off on Portugal's side. You could only say that you got outplayed by someone who wanted it more. Is what I think more than anything. I think Portugal comes in here not knowing exactly how they're gonna play. Unfortunately, and Morocco just plays for their heart, like entirely, full dedication, no breaks. It's like a do or die. For Portugal, they're already trying to set their eyes on semifinals. For Morocco, they're just seeing if I lose today, then I'll lose today, but I'll try whatever I can to win. So I don't really
I
know
don't
what to
really have much
say.
to say on this one because I think we all know Portugal have weaknesses, but they're a very strong team,
Mm-hmm.
and they just. I mean, once Morocco got that first, how he got up that high, I have no idea. But once they got that first goal, I think we always knew it was going to be tough. I think Santos knew it was going to be tough. That's why he brought on Cancelo and Ronaldo at 50 minutes. Like he knew, this is going to be a low block challenge. Maybe I can get Ronaldo in there, throw some balls in there to get it done. But unfortunately, time has caught up with Cristiano, and that's just the reality of the situation. And they just couldn't break down the low block. I think there was that one Bruno Fernandes shot that was very close,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
skimmed over the bar. And I think Bruno could be proud of his tournament.
he had a good tournament.
He probably also won't be at the same level for the next World Cup. I think he could look at that Euros maybe to carry Portugal, but I think that was it for Cristiano. It's a little bit sad. Obviously, if this tournament happened in the summer, honestly, like I'm being completely serious. If this tournament happened in the summer, I think Cristiano would have been in better form. Maybe would have played better. I just think the age has caught up. The mileage has caught up. We've seen it in club football. We've seen it now in international football, and that's it. Like sometimes the cliff is right over the edge, and you just, I mean, time and Father Time just pushes you over that. And he tried, but he couldn't help that much, and it's just the work rate for Morocco was terrific. The defending,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
could have scored a second one. I mean, so yeah, it was tough game. If I think Morocco, they obviously beat Spain, they beat Portugal. If they beat France, I will have no words. If they beat France, I won't have anything. I just
yeah.
like I can't envision it. I can't because this French team is so insanely powerful. Like there's not really many weaknesses. If they beat France, I I mean they win the World Cup. They're my pick if they beat France.
um, let's talk about the final game. The French and the English. 2-1. 2-1. We didn't even get a chance to go into extra time because of that miss in penalty. You and I were saying how when have you ever seen him rock
Never.
the penalty?
Never. I've never. I
It's
swear
he
when England
reset
gets
the ball.
penalty.
It's because he reset the ball. I swear
No,
to
that was
you.
the first one. The
No,
first one he
no.
reset the
Are you
ball. He
sure?
scored.
I'm pretty sure he
Yeah.
reset the second time. Oh no, you're right. You're
I
right.
didn't,
You're
I
right. You're
didn't
right.
see him.
You're
I
right.
didn't
You're
see
right.
him reset the second
I
time.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
I've never seen him sky a penalty. Not for Spurs. Not for England. I've never seen it. I mean, he is the most guaranteed penalty taker you can have in the world, and the fact that he skied it there, I'm 100% convinced there's a curse on England. I am 100% convinced.
I've seen him
'Cause
missed it, but that no.
I've seen him miss, never sky. I've never seen him sky. I have nothing to say. Got nothing to say.
You think he was that nervous? It's like too much. He wanted to put like he knew Lloris would guess him, so he tried to like just whack it.
He went for the same spot, and maybe he just thought he had to put a little bit more. I mean, the first one was perfect. I don't know. It's just that pressure of the 83rd minute. Maybe the pressure just a little bit higher. Um, it happens. Like it just that's sometimes how it falls. I think overall the game was really good. I think England could be proud. I think France could be proud. I think it was a very even game. Nothing really surprised me there. I think they're both very very powerful teams. And one of them was going to have to get eliminated. And if you asked England, okay, like we can tie this game up, go to extra time, let's put Kane at the penalty spot, like everybody's going to take that. And it just once he missed that, I knew the game was over. Like that was the moment. And that really sucks for Harry Kane. Obviously, as an Arsenal fan, like, I don't, I shouldn't feel bad. I do feel bad for him.
My only disappointment is not scoring in open play and have to rely on these chances. But I will say this.
I do think the team isn't really so the team and the manager, the way they play doesn't really suit him. I think he's such a great player that he can make it work, but I think he needs, for example, like a 4-4-2 with a really fast runner next to him where he can play as a second striker. And in the England setup, he plays as the striker. And it's a lot more tougher when you have Foden and Saka or Rashford or Grealish or whatever, and they're just so wide that he doesn't really have those runners to help him, and then you can kind of really just pinpoint on Kane. And so I don't blame it on him. I just think the England setup doesn't fit him as well for his talents. Like they, obviously Tottenham know his talents, and they kind of try to set the team around him that way. So yeah, it has been a little disappointing for him. It's definitely disappointing for England, but I do think that's probably Southgate's last game as manager, and I think that is a blessing. Listen, Southgate's a great. I don't want to make it. He's a very good guy, very great man. He's not the level of manager England need, in my humble opinion. And Kane is what now, 29. I still think he, with his style of play, I still think he can do something. For England.
I think the Euros are big.
The Euros is just as important. They need to win something. With this generation, they have to win something. And so we'll see at the Euros.
I think the good thing is that you get rid of that back four. You get to restart on like what you want to do exactly in the midfield, and like how you're saying, who's going to support Kane if they're gonna move on from here, and how's it going to be done? Because at this moment, I feel like they come this far from the amount of talent they have, but not in the same structure as France, where it's like everyone plays this way, like how we were, you and I were talking about. The reason why Mbappe, Griezmann, and Dembele play so well is not just because they're great players. It's because they have Giroud. Would it be the same with Kareem? I have no idea. Could they make it this far? Probably. I don't think so. I think Giroud completes this top line, and they replace literally almost player for player for what they were missing. They missed out on Pogba, Kante, and stuff like that they normally use. Even Lucas, it replaces his own brother to continue in the same area, and it's worked. You know what I mean? They have whatever is at the disposal. They have it because they're so talented to mix on chemistry. But I feel like the chemistry in England is so not organized. They have, let's say, they're friendly towards each other more than any other generation, but in the same time they don't have the same click to like win these types of matches. But it was very close.
They need more chemistry. Yeah, I mean, I could even think of the midfield. Declan Rice looks like he wants to be a pivot,
and he looks like he was alone at the time.
Yeah, because like Henderson's like marauding on the right, and then Bellingham's just going everywhere because Jude Bellingham is he's a terrific player, but he's just going everywhere.
Rice is looking for a pass, and his midfield is gone. It's almost like you know what I mean. So there's situations where the ball can move forward because the pressure from France is so high. They lose so many chances. Also, I will say, France had the ref majority in favor in a lot of these calls. The second penalty didn't even get started. The wingers were constantly being fouled on, and he just completely missed out. Even the linesmen as well. So, I will say this: I did make a bet with one of our friends. I don't know if you knew this. That if Griezmann wins this World Cup for the second time, I have to put a wallpaper outside of my room and on my phone of Griezmann for the rest of the season.
Why? Why?
Because last time I said, is he one of France's greats? Maybe. I said I'm not really sure that I can consider a French great. But if he wins two, I can't deny it. I have to accept it. I have to just.
Yeah, Giroud and Grizzy are going in the Hall of Fame for France if they win
if
that
they,
second one.
this
Well,
is,
Giroud already is. He's a top goal scorer.
Yeah, I think definitely. Yeah, so it was really for Griezmann to see. I don't bully him or anything like this. It's just, do I think he's top up there with the other Frenchmen? I don't know. But if he makes
I think in
second,
2018 he definitely was. I don't think he is now. But when you have the talent that you do around him at the moment, basically playing a completely different position as well. He's playing like a attacking mid-8 at the moment. So that's definitely nice. Yeah, I mean France is France. They're just really, really good. They're arguably the favorites out of the 4 teams left. They're the best. Can they continue carrying on in the matter that they have been? I think they can, but I mean Morocco's riding a high, and then they'll have to come up against one of Argentina. Well, we could get a Croatia-France final again.
Yes.
Holy crap!
Which is what I'm going to get into right now. We are going to do a prediction, but we're not really going to explain why we're choosing this prediction. We're just going to choose who do we feel will get out of the semifinals and who will win this tournament. Because
I'm ready.
Okay, pick the first sides first, which is Argentina, Croatia.
No explanation. Just
no explanation.
Argentina.
Okay, and then on the next one, which is France, Morocco.
France.
Okay, and then the final. You don't have to choose by heart or by mind. It's just what
that's both of them say
choose.
Different things.
I know. Your preferred thing versus what you think is. Yeah, I know. But you pick.
How many people have won the World Cup back to back?
The only one that I can think of right down at the moment is Brazil, 1958, and then 1962.
Okay. Argentina.
Okay. For me, it would be Croatia, and then France, and then Croatia. Winners.
Oh, they get the revenge.
Well, I wouldn't call it a revenge, but I've seen that before. The reason why, well, I'm not gonna I shouldn't explain. Never mind.
Explain?
Well, I was gonna say, it's not really an explanation why I choose this. It's, I want to say, because you mentioned earlier about Croatia, France, and stuff like that, how they might see each other again. Each time the rival has come back, right, to face each other, the opposition has won. Does that make sense? Like, yeah. for instance, when they...
I just have a slight doubt if Croatia can keep doing it this way.
I agree with you.
Slight doubt.
It could be... It could also be... I don't it could also be like how it was in 2018, where they just collapse in final.
I think they were a better team in 2018. I think right now, their mentality is elite. I do think some of their best players are just not Modric. Modric is one of my favorite players of all time. But Sky, be quiet. I know Luka's great, but I just think the rest of the team is just not up to the same level.
Mm-hmm.
And so that little tiny difference is why I believe Argentina could get past them. And even if they do get to the final, I don't know if they can they have enough to overcome France. Now, if it's Croatia versus Morocco, that's the complete vibes final. That
would be everything that I've wanted in this tournament.
that's what you dream of.
A new champion. It would mean anything.
Oh my lord!
Think about it. A Croatian, like, to Croats, to be in the final and to have the ability to win against a new champion. First off, it's the first time an Arabic/African country has made it to this far. So if an Arabic country and an African country has come this far to make it even to a final and then to possibly win, it would be like a ridiculous thought. You know what I mean? It'd just be nuts. The amount of pressure I think the amount of pressure for Croatia and France is high because their amount of fanship isn't quite as strong as I thought it would be. Especially for a lot of European side, I feel like it's been like this. where it's been lackluster. I don't know if that has to be because the consideration of the venue specifically where it is. It might be. Maybe a mental boycott, not really, but like the political stance
I
of what
think it
everything's
will play a
happening.
part. I mean, we know that Argentina will have the advantage in that game,
It's
and
a
we know
home game for
Morocco
them,
will
which
have
is
the
crazy.
advantage. Yeah, how do they have that many supporters there?
I have
There
no
was
idea.
only 1,500 Dutch supporters. How is that possible? 1,500. It's literally a home game. How did they do that? I don't understand. And then Morocco will obviously have the home advantage against France. Not
Yeah.
as severe, but the Moroccans will show up, and I
Hmm.
think that will play a part. So, but I mean, I'm just happy it's not going to be Argentina versus England because that would have really hurt. I really didn't want to be in that situation. So now I'm okay.
I think this is a good semifinals for both. It shows the underdogs possibilities of pushing. So we'll have to see on what goes
I
on
think
from.
both. I think the thing is, all the storylines that could have happened would have been excellent. I think no matter what, if we would have gotten Brazil versus Argentina, you have that storyline. If
Mhm.
you would have gotten, well, you have now, but on the other side, if you would have gotten Portugal beating Morocco, well, yeah, you don't have the underdog story of Morocco,
But you have
but
Krish.
you are 2 games away from Argentina versus Portugal,
Yeah.
and so you'd have that storyline. You have France trying to do back to back, Kylian Mbappe becoming a 2-time world champion at the age of 23,
Can't win a
which
Champions
is,
League,
I
but
know,
winning two
Sky,
World
that's crazy.
Cups.
Yeah, it's so I think all the storylines, Croatia in the second, trying to get back to the final, all the other, everything that could have happened, there were storylines everywhere, and that's why this World Cup has been absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I love it. Only
Well,
one more week, but
well, we'll get
oh
back
well.
to it when we're close to. I don't know. I haven't decided. Before the final, or after the final, I'll think about it. But
You do a quick one before the final,
we could do a quick one before the final. We'll do
and then just preview the final, I guess.
yeah after the bronze final, like for third place, which is the day before
Mm,
Saturday. It would be
yeah, I
like
guess so.
the 20 minute like talking about the semifinals and but yeah. Okay. All right. Well, uh, if any of our predictions happens, fantastic. And if none of that happens, well, I don't know what to tell you. If Morocco Argentina happens, then I
Well,
didn't. I didn't.
we both
Maybe.
didn't pick France, who's arguably the favorite. So
Yeah. That's true. So, and we didn't pick Morocco as champions.
I think a lot of people are. I think we're all hoping that can happen. I don't think we can believe it though. Not yet.
I
At
can't.
least.
Yeah, I can't see it. If I can't visualize it, I'm sorry. But all right, we'll be back in a few days for the next episode. It'll be the last episode of this tournament. It's been a fantastic journey to get to this far because it's been such an exciting moment, especially with everything going on, with all the countries being represented, and the amount of football that's been going on, and the amount of like intensity level that I'm used to, like just everybody exploding around me, like even people that don't talk about it now absolutely talking about it. That's what the World Cup is, and that's what I love to see every time. And sadly, it will go back to being just us talking about Premiership, Serie A, La Liga, and stuff like that, which is fantastic too, but not in the same amount of I would say joy, but a different format. So until then, I'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye bye.